Reality is that Shota's future with the team a little murkier than it was earlier today.
He had until Thursday, I believe, to make this call after the World Series, maybe 5 days or so. And there was an option in there. And for the Cubs to pick up this option, we would have been clamoring, like, what are they thinking? What are they watching?
Yes.
3 years, $57 million for a pitcher that down the stretch was not good.
Well,
or had regressed.
Yes.
And you have to look at the numbers in September, especially, Mully. He gave up 11 home runs in the month of November. And let's see, 3, 5, 10 home runs.
Yeah.
That was enough. He was not the same pitcher. And in the playoffs, you saw semblance of Shota, what you had seen previously, but not enough. I just understand why they would be unwilling to go 3 years. And then he declines a $15 million option. His contract was complicated. And now that he's a free agent, what that means is the Cubs still can make a qualifying offer of $22 million. If he trusts his ability to get a deal in the open market that's richer than that, more security than that, then he's an ex-Cub. If he is an ex-Cub and takes someone else signs him, the Cubs will get draft compensation if they make a qualifying offer.
Yes.
If he takes the Cubs qualifying offer at $22 million, he has 1 year to prove it and to go and hit free agency again. He likes being a Cub. You wonder what that's worth to him. You wonder if he understood this going in.
Yep.
It's also indicative of what you said. They may have their sights set on somebody else in free agency.
You know, here is the reality is that both the team and Shota have rejected the option to extend his contract for another year, and that means that he is a free agent. So he is entitled. You know, they can still bring him back. They can still talk to him. He may still want to return.
Sure.
But he is now a free agent.
Sure, no doubt about it. And but you're protected against losing your own free agents if you make qualifying offers.
Yeah, no question.
And that's the key thing.
Yeah.
That they don't want to lose them for nothing. And it's just like Cody Bellinger with the Yankees opting out. You know, if they make the qualifying offers, they protect themselves from getting something in return, at least. But I think if you look at
his Game 2 start against the Brewers was a disaster, and there's no way around that. You just can't pretend that it wasn't. It was just bad.
He's a popular player.
But
is he a projectable one? You know what I mean? It's next year. What would you get? Is he your second starter? No. Is he your fifth starter, fourth or fifth starter? If he comes back, likely. Let's go through the lineup. Let's go through the rotation. Well, I know you need probably 6 to 8 starting pitchers, but Justin Steele's coming back.
Yes.
Steele, Horton, Tyone.
Yes.
Matthew Boyd. Right there's 4. Is Colin Ray? What's his situation? Will he come back depending on situation?
Who's the young guy? Jackson
Wiggins. Jackson Wiggins is somebody. We talked to Dan Kanchovitz on the Inside the Clubhouse. Bruce and I did a couple on Saturday. They're high on him.
Yeah.
Jackson Wiggins is somebody that might be ready. After watching what the Blue Jays did with Trey Savage, you wonder about your young pitching in your organization. Jackson Wiggins is one of those guys.
Here's the thing, David, and there's no getting around this. If I said to you midway through the season, maybe at the beginning of the season, hey, they've got to make this decision on Shota. Are you picking up those 3 years? You would have said absolutely, undeniably, you're doing that. Now here you go. You get to that point and you're not. That speaks volumes about the way things played out.
Well, see, Mully, if you had asked me that question before the end of July, it was an easy answer. But what happened after? You remember the White Sox start?
I do.
Okay, Shota got shelled.
Yep.
And since that was July 27th, I believe. In his last 12 starts, he had a 5.17 ERA, and he gave up 20 home runs in 69 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah.
That's not something you're going to miss.
But my point is that the conversation about him changed, and it was no longer a sure thing, and now here we are. And I don't think anyone's super surprised by it.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
No, for that very reason.
So when you talk about the projected starting pitching, and we just did, and we went through the list, and you got your 4 guys and maybe a 5th. Also, that doesn't even factor in the potential targets in free agency. Bruce also reported on Inside the Clubhouse that the Cubs will be involved with Dylan Cease, a free agent pitcher.
Yep.
You may have mentioned how Framber Valdez would be somebody worth exploring. Those both make sense because if you are a top-of-the-market team like the Cubs, and you should be pursuing these top-of-the-market free agents.
Look, I mean, the reality is that we just saw a World Series that was won because pitching is better than hitting. There is no doubt that the Toronto Blue Jays probably out-hit the Dodgers through the entire World Series. The Dodgers won the World Series because their pitching was better, period, end of story. And I know what Savage did. I understand that there were different moments, but who's the MVP? And why is the guy the MVP? It's because pitching is greater than
Yamamoto. Hitting. Got any more of those?
Yeah, get a guy like that. All right, we got people who want to check in. 312-644-6767. Jim is in Beecher. Hey, Jim.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to weigh in on the Imanaga thing. I'm a White Sox fan. And up to that point, and I think David just mentioned it, he kind of like, wait a minute, that's what I was going to say. But up to that point, Imanaga was cruising. That White Sox game came totally out of the blue. He just fell off a cliff.
3 homers.
The White Sox using him as batting practice. But wasn't he hurt also?
He did have an injury this year that you wonder if he ever really recovered from. Good call, Jim. I think that's a good memory as well. He was never quite himself. He started out looking familiar, but then the injury maybe got in the way. And since that start, July 25th, it was all downhill for Shota. And Mully, the decision seems official today, or this is the news that when it broke. But didn't they tell you that this was going to happen when they chose not to start him in Game 5? Game 5 against the Brewers, basically, what could you do? Shota was ready. He was there, available. Yeah. They started Drew Pomerantz as an opener. So that told you how much confidence they had lost in the lefty, and this was inevitable, given the commitment that they would have had to have made.
Yeah, I don't argue with any of those ideas, David. I just think that, you know, there's a part of me that feels sad because I really enjoyed him. And when, you know, it's typical of a Chicago sports fan. You love the guy when he's pitching great. And then when he's off the boil, you're like, next move, what are you doing?
You don't know how the conversations have gone between him and his representatives either. Yeah. You don't know if this is necessarily automatically a goodbye or stay tuned, because the $22 million is for 1 year, could be a prove-it deal for Shota. He may want to do that because he does like being a Cub. Hey, I love the commercial. I think he's a good guy to have around.
You hate that commercial. You wanted to get rid of him. You made this decision when you saw what, and I will quote you, his doughy body.
Okay, just because it's a doughy body doesn't mean I wanted him to leave town. I appreciated what he did. Last year, Shota was fantastic. This year, the first half was fine.
He cursed himself with that commercial.
What happened the second half of the season is something that no contender can tolerate.
Yeah.
And if the Cubs want to be taken seriously as a World Series contender next year, I don't know how they would have been able to justify having him in the rotation right now. Or maybe in the rotation, but not certainly a guy that is your ace or your 1 or 2.
I mean, the problem with this is we haven't even gotten, we're not even talking about Kyle Tucker and where he's going. And we mentioned Bellinger earlier in the program. Could he come back? But the problem with this is we're talking about guys leaving, not guys staying, right? And I think both those guys are in the same category. We'll see. But I think Shota liked it here, did very well here, and hopefully is back for another year. But I think it's an if come now. It's just not something you can count on right now.
I think both situations are very different.
Yeah.
Shota was not worth a $57 million commitment over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think theirs. Kyle Tucker, those are negotiations that have yet to happen. Maybe they have begun in back channels.
It doesn't
feel like, number one, they're going to be involved. And number two,
he wants to come back, frankly.
You didn't get that sense.
No, you never got that.
You never got that sense that it was Chicago was somewhere he was longing to be forever.
And we've had more conversations about replacing his bat than we had about replacing Shota's arm, and that's just the reality of kind of the health issues the Cubs suffered through this season, to the point where you felt like they owed it to themselves to start him in a game against Milwaukee when we kind of anticipated what was going to go wrong, and then the second time out, let's not do that.
And you're right. And let's we don't want to be glib or overlook the fact that we heard Jed Hoyer coming into the segment, and we have heard Craig Counsell talk about Shota Imanaga is an extremely popular player in that clubhouse as much as he is to the fan base. And I think they really respect him, and they really are fond of him. And I do wonder, it had to be a difficult decision from an emotional standpoint, but from a baseball perspective, it was the smartest one they could make. Now, because of that relationship, you do wonder what will happen next. And do they have an unspoken agreement that he will come back for that $22 million? Which, if he does, okay, that's a worthwhile gamble for a team like the Cubs to take. $22 million for your fourth or fifth starter might seem expensive, but he also might be somebody that is worth it if you like the player and you can live with the pitcher. So there's still, I think, another element to this that we have yet to know.
I'll be very curious how this works out. And again, I get it. I understand what's happening right now. I just want to know how this ends and how you replace him. That's all. That's the only thing. Are you looking for a top shelf guy to replace him? Are you looking to figure out how to save a few bucks and go for a middle of the road guy?
847, I am sick about Shota becoming a free agent. Interesting. 630, let's be fond of a pitcher who throws 98.
That's pretty funny. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.